Yeah, yeah. So, all right, so without further ado, I'm going to hand this over to WizardPC, who's going to talk all about Geeks with Driver's License or car PCs.
Yay! Yay! There we go. That's better. It's better. Make me feel all warm and welcome since this is my first PhreakNIC to speak at. It's also my first PhreakNIC where I've actually lived in Nashville. So I am WizardPC, and I guess the first thing I want to know is anybody here from mp3car.com? Did anybody show up? Other than Greg? All right. All right. Well, who are you? Yeah, on mp3car.com. Who are you? Okay, never mind. All right, that would not be mp3car.com. All right, so I guess we'll go ahead and get started. Did anybody actually show up with a computer in their car that's here? Okay, good. We've got a couple, because this would be my 5th PhreakNIC, and as is every single year, a month or so before PhreakNIC happens, my car PC explodes. Or my car explodes. So I actually don't have a car PC right now. Take that for what it's worth. All right, let's see if we can get this thing to work. Which it's not going to work either. All right, well, we'll just go old. There we go. Helps if I actually point it where it needs to go. So, I am WizardPC. I'm a member of Nashville 2600. This would be, my 4th PhreakNIC. I've been a member of mp3car.com since 2000. There are, as of yesterday, about 50,000 members. I'm member number 814. I've been around for a while doing this stuff. I started actually in '99 with basically a laptop and a little 2.5-inch LCD television. That was not fun. So, let's do this again. Come on, work. All right, so here's kind of what we're going to do. We're going to cover what is a car PC and what is not a car PC. We're going to talk a little bit about the history. Then we're going to talk about how you build one. And this is going to be very general. I'm not going to cover any software. This is going to be mostly hardware stuff. And then we'll have the open discussion and then run outside and everybody can do show and tell for the people who brought car PCs. So, what is a car PC? Well, we'll first go with what is not a car PC, and that would be an iPod. An iPod in your car is not a car PC. A video head unit. You know, one of those Pioneer, AVIC 1, whatever, DVD, GPS, all that good stuff that you pay Crutchfield $1,800 for, is not a car PC. I've actually had people get in my Saturn when I had that car, and they go, oh yeah, my brother's got one of these. No, your brother doesn't have one of these. I'm the only one with one of these. So, and of course a PDA in your lap is also not a car PC. And also a laptop, I don't have a picture of this, but a laptop sitting on your passenger seat is also not a car PC. So, what is a car PC? A car PC is a personal computer permanently integrated into a vehicle's electrical and audio systems. This, for instance, is a 7-inch LCD touchscreen that I molded into my dash in my Saturn. And that right there makes it a car PC. We can't use the term carputer because some company trademarked it, and I don't want them coming after me. So you'll never hear me say that other than just that. So, once you actually get something kind of permanently mounted, then you really do have a car PC. Otherwise, you're just a geek, you know, just driving around. I mean, you know. So, and it's actually, this is the most fun part, is kind of figuring out how you're going to make it all work. It's also the most frustrating part. There's a lot of cussing in this part. This actually, molding that screen actually took me 3 or 4 days after figuring out how to use Bondo, which I'd never done before. So we'll talk about kind of the history of car PCs now. Like I said, I've been doing this since about '99. And in the very beginning, you had Winamp and a DOS program called MPX Play. And those were basically, you had that. That was your choice. You could use a Windows 95 machine or 98 machine and have it boot up what we call headless, which is with no monitor whatsoever. You might have a 40 by 4 character LCD screen if you had the extra $120 at the time, and those were, you could have those in VFD or LCD. To change songs or navigate directories, you would use a numeric keypad, and those things cost about 80 or 90 bucks then. I think they're down to about $25 now. People were using 233 megahertz towers with power inverters and cassette adapters, which is not suggested anymore. That's kind of the cheap man's way to get in there. But in '99, that's what we had. I did actually go to a car show once in about 2000 and saw a guy with a 15-inch CRT molded into his dashboard. I kid you not, it was a Tahoe, and that was the only way. I mean, a full-size Chevy truck was about the only thing that you could do that in. I don't think it's legal anywhere, but the funny thing about the law is that the way the law works is things are legal until somebody passes a law to make it illegal. So I guess at that time it was technically legal because there wasn't a law against it. All right. So that was kind of stage one. That was the, hey, this might be a good idea. And that's when mp3car.com was started. That's why it's named mp3car.com. Now, of course, it's much more than just MP3s. But that's kind of where we all started. So stage two is when people started getting creative. Because when you've got a power inverter and a 233 megahertz tower, well, how do you turn everything on and turn it off? You'll have a power switch for your power inverter, and then maybe you'll have a momentary switch run all the way from your trunk up to your dashboard so you can hit the power button. Well, that's kind of inconvenient. So some guys started coming up with shutdown and startup controllers. So you'd get in there and you'd turn your key on, and everything would turn on. And when you turn your car off, everything would shut down gracefully, because you can't really keep a power inverter and a computer running for very long in your car. I know it's about 3 hours because that's when your car won't start. So, and then people started figuring out, hey, well, we can use laptop screens. The laptop screens at that time were $800 for the screen and $300 for the controller card. So $1,100 just so you can get the nice, pretty display. So very few people actually did that. I think the first guy who did that was a guy by the name of Ashley Powers out of Florida. He did it in a 300Z. It was really nice. He actually had this thing where it would actually kind of tilt up, and it laid against his dashboard when he wasn't running it. It was really neat. Then we had the industrial and the point-of-sale touchscreens, which is kind of what I got. And it was $300 for the whole thing. It was a 10.4-inch LCD touchscreen, about maybe 100 lumens, and it was really, really weak. It worked kind of well at night, but otherwise not so much. And they were just huge. The thing weighed about 15 pounds, I think. And again, I was in a full-size Chevy pickup truck, so I had room to put that. If you're driving a Saturn or a Geo, 10.5-inch screen, not going to fit anywhere really. People also then started using NTSC LCDs. The NTSC LCDs are those, $89 eBay headrest monitor thingies. Stay away from those, because the lowest resolution you're going to get out of a computer is going to be 640 by 480. So 480 horizontal lines of resolution. Those NTSC LCDs, about 300 lines of resolution. So it's actually down converting about a third of your screen. You can't read anything. But it was pretty and it was graphical, and you could make Winamp scans that were, very large, and then, you could move your little mouse around and click on the buttons. Also at this stage, we found out about the KeyPower 12-volt AT power supplies. Not ATX, just ATs. But they ran on 12 volts, which is naturally much more efficient than running a power inverter and going from 12 to 110 back to 12. But they were about $250, whereas a power inverter would cost you about 90 bucks at that time. So only a couple of people actually did that. So then we move on to stage 3. Stage 3 started about 2002, late 2002, early 2003, and companies started going, hey, wait a second. There's a market here. People are doing this. And so we got the first VGA LCD touchscreen 7-inch that was pretty much built for car PCs. It runs on 12 volts. They were about $600 when they first came out, which was about half the price of these notebook LCDs that we had been using. But it was still a lot of out of a lot of people's price ranges, myself included, because I was a poor college student when I started doing this. That's not fun. Then a company called Opus Solutions, they came out with some power supplies. Opus now has 250-watt power supplies. They're ATX. They have built-in shutdown and startup controllers. The Opus power supply is basically the Rolls-Royce of power supplies. They're great. If you can afford one, get one. And then they started coming out with cases. This is a mini ITX case that's made to look like an amplifier. So it'll go in your trunk with all the rest of your things, and it looks like it fits there. And then also some companies started coming out with complete systems. But if you're in here and you're going to buy a complete system, I need your geek card. Okay? I mean, you shouldn't be doing that. But some of the last slides, I'll show you some of the really cool, neat, if I, had more money than sense, what I would buy. Hey. So, and stage 4 is kind of where we're at right now. We've kind of reached a mature stage. Basically, the only things that we're working on are better front ends, better software to deal with all the hardware that we've got. Some guys in the UK, I don't know if you guys know about the UK speed cameras, where you'll just be driving along and, oh, look, I was speeding, now I have a ticket. Well, they've got a speed camera database that you can download, and your car PC will actually come up and say, hey, there's a speed camera up ahead, you might want to slow down. I kid you not, and it's the greatest thing. I wish we had one here for red light cameras, but well, that's a whole nother talk. And also we're working on some hardware. I was perusing the forums the other night, and some guys in Belgium have come up with a pretty good USB AM/FM receiver, because that's the one thing that's very, very lacking, is there are no good FM receivers for computers. That sucks. That has been the biggest complaint for the last 7 years. I actually ended up with a little D-Link radio that if anybody's ever had one, they understand my frustration. You can receive a station if you're standing next to the tower, and that's about it. Use in a car? No, because you're basically in a huge Faraday cage at that point. So, like I said, some guys in Belgium, that hardware isn't actually going to be released till next Friday. So, I don't have anything that I can actually show you, pictures or anything like that. But it's supposed to be really good, and the community's been working on it for a while. So maybe we'll have that. That's kind of like the last little hurdle before this really becomes more mainstream. All right, so now we've kind of talked about how we've gone from 233 megahertz towers in the trunk of your car up to now. So how do we build one? And we're going to talk about several things. Basically, what you need to consider. Then you need to figure out what direction you're going to go in, what platform you're going to use, how are you going to power it, how are you going to get sound, what are you going to use for your display, what are you going to use for external inputs like your XM stuff, and what are you going to use for communications, and then some advanced options, which can get very, very weird. So, considerations. Okay, if you've got one of these lying around and you've got no money, you're a poor college student, 18, 19 years old, this is kind of where this happened. This is a full tower with a slot-load DVD drive running on a power inverter. This is in this guy's trunk. I took this at a meet, I think. I can't remember if I took this picture or if I stole this from somebody, but something I should probably say. All photographs are copyright of their respective owners, and if you have a problem with me using this, just let me know, and I'll stop. So the things we need to consider: power, space, heat, and your budget. Your budget's probably the biggest thing that you want to consider. If you've got $2,000, well, you can pretty much do whatever you want. If you go to MTSU and you're eating ramen noodles, but you really want a car PC, that the $2,000 car PC is not really going to work for you. But your power, your space, your heat. Heat is oh man. Let me tell you all this little story about heat. So in my Saturn, I had in the back this car PC that kept overheating, and I couldn't ever figure it out. It would work fine inside, but then I'd go outside, and it would just constantly reboot. So I ended up taking ductwork from the front, running it to the back, and having my air conditioning go through the car PC. Okay, so that was kind of a temporary solution. So then I ended up drilling holes in the trunk of my car and having little ductwork that was kind of like a ram air induction for my car PC. Well, that didn't work out very well, because when you're driving down the road, where's that air coming from? From the front of your car, where your engine is. It's running about 400 degrees. Yeah, so that didn't work out so well. So that kind of goes into budget, because what I found out was it was because I was using $25 sticks of RAM. They worked fine in the house, but I ran mem tests and something like 10 or 12,000 errors. Yeah, so I ended up going and getting the good RAM, and yeah, so I spent about $300 trying to correct my heat problem, when it was, $85 stick of RAM fixed my heat problem. So let's jump back up to space. If you drive a Geo, this isn't going to work. If you drive a Tahoe, this might work. But these are the things that you have to think about before you start your project. The other thing that you have to think about is the direction. Where do you want to go with this project? Do you want to be able to drive down the street and crack WEP within 5 minutes? Okay, if you're going to do that, then a mini ITX that's 1,000 megahertz C3 processor, not going to work for you. If you're driving a Geo, you're not going to be able to do that. You're going to need like a van with a Beowulf cluster in the back and a generator, But this is the most important part of the whole thing, because so many people they get and they just start buying stuff. Like, oh yeah, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. And then they go, oh, well, but I also want this other thing. And then they figure out that they can't do any of the other things they wanted to do if they wanted to do this one other thing. And I'll talk about that later, because that happened to me, sort of. So, now that you know where you're going to go, and you've got all your considerations as far as your power, your heat, all those things, you're going to choose a platform. Mini ITX is by far the most popular nowadays. The Mac Mini, people are using those a lot. There's a separate forum now on mp3car.com just for Mac Minis. I'm not a Mac guy because I'm straight. So... Ouch. Anyway, so I don't hang out there. And then you could also go with a full-size board, which is obviously what that guy with the trunk picture was doing, or a laptop. Now, remember when I said that a laptop sitting on your front seat is not a car PC. However, a laptop dock in the back with your touchscreen and all that stuff hooked up in the front, that does work as a car PC, and that's a direction that some of you may go. In fact, there is at Office Depot or Office Max, one of those two, there is a universal laptop docking station that's one USB port. You plug it in, and you've got like, I think 4 USB ports on that particular dock. You've got sound and video, and it apparently it works really, really well from what I've heard. It's like $159. So if you've got your $2,000 Sony Vaio, you just plug that thing in, and you can have that sitting on your front seat. And all your touch screens and everything works just off of your laptop, which may be the direction I go with my new vehicle. So, power options. You've got 2 options. You can use an inverter, or you can use a DC to DC power supply. So currently, right now, as far as I know, the highest powered DC to DC power supply is 250 watts. So if you're going to be running, an AMD 64 quad proc, craziness, 250 watts, not really going to work for you. So then you'll have to go the power inverter route. Just know that that's very unclean. You'll always have a ground loop every single time. Ground loop, for those of you who don't know, well, you should know. But ground loops is basically when you get kind of running through your speakers all the time. So there we go. Audio. You have several different methods of getting audio from your computer to your speakers. This is probably the most asked question. How do I get the sound to my speakers? In my personal opinion, the best way to do that is going straight to amplifiers. Just don't have a radio at all. I did this for 2 years. You just don't have a radio at all. Besides, if you guys listen to the radio, all the same, they're playing all the same songs that they did 3 years ago. So that's by far the best way to do it. You control everything from your car PC. You get the cleanest sound, and you are able to control everything. The second best method, if you absolutely have to have AM, FM radio, or HD radio, or whatever it is that you want to listen to, is using an auxiliary input. Now this can be either an 1/8" jack on the front or the back of the radio, or CD changer controls. A lot of times companies will offer a auxiliary input based on your CD changer. The inline FM modulator is the third choice. I think you can get those for $25, $30, $40 now. And those actually go, you take your radio out, you plug in the modulator to the back of the radio, and then you plug the antenna into the modulator. And you'll tune your radio to 88.9 or whatever, and it'll come over. There will be some hiss. It won't sound as good, but if you're using 128 kilobit MP3s, you won't really care. Also, if you're kind of cheap, you won't really care. The last 2 methods, if you use these, you will cuss all the time, because you'll get hiss and you'll get interference, and you'll say, why, oh why did I use this $5 adapter? And then you'll get on the forums and you'll go, why does my sound suck? Well, it's because you're using either an external modulator or a cassette adapter. And who's got cassette players anymore? I mean, really? Oh my gosh! Ho! Okay, never mind. Apparently a lot of people do. So do you still listen to your tapes? Yeah? Works great for your iPod. See, there you go. Were you here for the beginning? That doesn't count. All right, displays. I will say this, and say this, and say this, and say this. Get a VGA touchscreen. If you get an NTSC screen, you will be unhappy. Getting the touchscreen portion makes it really cool, because then you just, instead of having to go around with a trackball or a mouse or something like that, you just touch the screen. I think that's why they call them touchscreens. They start at 7-inch LCD touchscreens. In fact, let me show you what I got here. I got a 7-inch VGA LCD touchscreen. This was actually in my Saturn. My Saturn about 6 months ago went all splody on me. And, yeah, so there was transmission parts all over Old Hickory Boulevard. But this is a 7-inch Lilliput LCD touchscreen. You can get these for about $225 now at stores, or about $189 on eBay. There's no reason for you not to get this. If you go with the $85 or $45 NTSC screen, you're going to shoot yourself because it's going to suck. They've also got now they have the in-dash motorized LCD touchscreens. They're about 600-ish, I think. You turn on your car and it goes. It's really cool. Really cool. If I didn't drive a Jeep that had an overhang, that's what I'd buy. They also now, I just found out, have transflective 7 and 8-inch LCD touchscreens. They're about $800 or $900. Again, you got more money than sense? Go ahead. The things that you want to consider in getting the touchscreen is going to be the nits. If you get a 100 nit screen, you're not going to be able to see it. Get a 600, you'll be okay. Xenarcs, popularly Xenarcs are the best screens to buy, though my Lilliput, I've had it for 3 or 4 years. It's never given me any problems. So, but like anything, you'll get good and bad. All right, external inputs. We talked about the AM/FM radio stuff. Not really a good solution so far. Those guys from Belgium, I'm hopeful. Satellite radio. You can do XM or Sirius. I've done this before. It sounds really good. If you go to some kind of bit rot sites, you can find some old software that'll actually let you record the MP3 from the XM radio service and Sirius as well. OBD2, onboard diagnostics. If you own a car that was made after 1996, you have OBD2. OBD2 is a diagnostic port. You can plug an OBD2 cable into that port and then plug it into a USB or serial port on your computer, and you get real-time stats of what your engine's doing. RPMs, I think you can extrapolate speed. Various front ends have actual plug-ins that'll let you do this. The hardware costs, what, about $100 I think now? Yeah, about $100. So I drive a 93 Jeep, so I'm not really concerned because I don't have OBD2. If you've got pre-96, you're kind of up a creek as far as that goes. All right, let's see. Now, communication. You've got Wi-Fi for war driving. Works really well. You can do Bluetooth for connecting with your cell phone. There's a program called Phone Control, written by a guy named Zorro. I can't remember what country he's from, but it's really cool. You take your Bluetooth cell phone, you get in the car, your phone rings, and it shows up on your LCD touchscreen who's calling, and you can click and answer it, and the phone goes through your sound system. It's really nice, yeah. Edge and GPRS, which is what I've got. I go through my my little MDA, and it's about 260 kilobits downstream, which is really all you need, because what you do with the front ends is you download weather information or traffic information, and your GPS will route you around stuff. It's really kind of cool. And so Edge and GPRS is about $30 a month if you've already got a phone plan, depending on your carrier. $50 a month if you've already got a phone plan, depending on if you're with that big orange carrier, and $100 a month if you're not with any carrier. Go figure that one out. So kind of the thing I want to talk about now is Widen, which is the internet that you get with Boost Mobile. It's 20 cents a day, $6 a month. Oh, Sprint's now $10 a month apparently. Does that work for the full internet, or is it just okay? Well, there you go. Sprint sounds good then. All right. So let's see. Now the advanced options, you can put cameras in there, which is
what I want to do because idiots in Nashville cannot drive, and when they pull out in front of me and I smack them, I want to have them on video. There's a company called Fidgets that sells all kinds of really cool stuff that you can do. You can make your own controllers and really nifty stuff. Check it out. It's fidgetsusa.com. And then the ever popular but never done scrolling LED sign. Every newbie gets on mp3car.com and goes, hey, I've got this sign that I want to put in my back window. Yeah, okay, sure. Call me when you're done. 7 years, no one's ever done it. Ever. And also the biometric engine start. I want to get a thumb scanner on my shifter so I can just hit that and my car will start. Yeah, okay, sure. When you figure it out, let us know. And then this is something that came up on Make Zine, a mobile nuclear weapons detector. 15 grand. So if you got more money than sense, by all means, go ahead. Yes, this has actually been done, a mobile nuclear weapons detector. They've actually put it on boats, and they go through San Francisco. I think they said they can detect it about a quarter mile. Yeah, well, yeah, that's a whole nother talk. So, will I build one for you? Sure. $100,000 up front, $200,000 upon delivery, because I've done this before, and it sucks. Yes. I had a guy. This is kind of how I came up with this. You need to know where you're going before you start building. It's because the guy said, I want my computer to do this. Okay, so I built him one that did that. Oh, I also want video. Well, crap. I was using an M10000. I have to start all over again. So, can you buy one? Yes, but again, if you wouldn't be here if you were that kind of person. There are two places that I know off the top of my head, store.mp3car.com. This is the Infill T3, $2,200. It's really nifty. If I had more money than sense, I'd buy it, because they're kind of a pain to build themselves. And GNet Canada, which I think they basically buy stuff from mp3car.com and then assemble it and then sell it to you for twice as much as they bought it for. So, all right, so now, what time is it? Beer time? 10 till? So we've got, if the guys who have car computers want to pull into the, all right. Oh, hang on a second. By the way, we got a discount on mics.
Talking. Hello?
Okay.
Word. With regard to the OBD2 support, does it actually support the manufacturer-specific codes, or does it only support the standard codes?
That actually depends on the hardware that you buy. Some of them do support the GM specific codes, and some of them are, just a $45 cable that you have to splice together yourself. So, any other? All right, come on up.
Is hard drive failure a problem with all the vibration and heat?
Actually, no. That's typically one of the first questions that's asked is, what about hard drive vibration and all that stuff? And modern hard drives can survive about 500 Gs of force. If you're experiencing more than 500 Gs of force in your car, you have bigger things to worry about than whether your MP3s are going to be skipping.
2 points I wanted to make. As far as AM/FM reception for a computer of sorts, ATI makes a TV/FM device that'll plug into the USB. You can do it that way. But back to the hard drives, though, for a moment. What about temperature extremes, like in the middle of winter, for example?
Well, the guys up in Canada, who obviously
have to deal with the cold weather all the time. Yeah, this is far north as I go. But that's always been a concern. But we've never actually heard of a hard drive failing just because it was sitting in their car. And again, with the vibrations, it's not really a big deal. Heat, I have seen cause problems, and what I've done in the past is just get one of those anodized hard drive coolers, and that actually works really, really well. It'll fit in a 5 1/4 inch slot. I built the car PC that I built for the guy who couldn't make up his mind what he wanted to do. That I have one of those in there, and it actually reduced my temperatures from 120 degrees operating temperature to about 80. So if you want to use one of those, then those are good. All right. Anybody else? No? All right. So if... all right.
When you're doing GPS, do you have to mount your antenna somewhere not in the trunk? Or do you get reception inside the trunk?
If you drive a Saturn, you can... Yeah, they're plastic. A lot of times what guys will do is they'll either mount it on top of the trunk, in the back window, or underneath the dash in the front. Because the GPS signals will go through plastic, but they won't go through metal.
With regard to the GPS stuff, are there any open source wares that are out there that will read the shape data and whatnot that you can get from states, or is that information just not available?
This has been talked about before, and I know there's a guy who does Linux stuff named Chris Bergeron. He's actually talked up here before. His website is dashworks.com, DASHWERKS. And the last time I talked to him, they were talking about getting an open source app going that could read the Navtec maps. But I have not heard anything about that since. There is a separate Linux forum on mp3car.com that I'm sure they'd know more about that than me. Before getting shot at, I want to say I go with Windows for reliability in this particular instance. So I'll have the Linux guys and the Mac Mini guys outside to beat me later on. So. Yeah, I know. Yeah, well, yeah. So. All right. Good deal. Good deal. Say again. No, Linux guys are not gay. Well, there's that. So. All right. So you guys with car PCs. Yeah. Did you guys want to show them off? Yeah. If you want to pull up front, and if everybody wants to go look at it. But before you leave.
Hi guys, how's it going? I'm Skydog. I'm the director of hospitality or what. Someone's got a white Mazda Miata with black racing stripes with the license plate 859 MMG. Is anyone fitting that description in here? Well then, this is mine. Appreciate it.
All right. Actually, Skydog, they may be watching this. Hey, Skydog, they may be watching this in their room. So report to ConOps. If that's you, report to ConOps, which is downstairs, first floor, in case you didn't know. All right. Yes, follow the sound of my voice. Okay. So I think the guys are going to pull their cars up if you guys want to see. All right.